If you keep going at it all along, then you've got time to draft and redraft at the end. And people always say at the end, I wish I'd started earlier, I wish I had more time to do that bit.
If one's got a Word document, that was on page 1, one got up to page 9 later on by saying what one's doing, what's important. If you like, it could be some sort of reflective journal, it could be some account of what's important. Then you go back to page 1 and have a look at it again, and some of the things there which seemed important won't be important. But the reasons why they won't be important reveal a lot of the learning that one will have gained through the process. And even if those words which you've written on page 1 don't go in the final thing, the gap between those and the words you'd write in January will, I think. So it's one thing is then keeping an account of the process. However one does it, picking some sort of an account of the process, because that will really inform the writing. So that's one sort of thing. And slightly different, I think, writing to make sense of things. So, for example, if one's reading stuff about methodology and one's putting ideas together, just write. Any old rubbish. Write not completed sentences, not completed paragraphs. Just write. And where one's not clear, say why one's not clear. Just keep writing. And when you really do have to go to bed or whatever it is, or go off to work or go off to play football, whatever, play hockey, say what you think your next 3 paragraphs would have been about, because you're on a roll. But you'll forget where you were rolling to when you come back to it.
If you do find that it's difficult to write, which people do, start with something easy, which could be describing the context where you work or the setting or something like that, just to get writing going. Don't wait until a sentence is perfect, just write it, I would say.
I think if you're going to write it, get somebody else to read it. Ask somebody that you know to read it through, correcting all those errors that you find difficult to spot yourself because it's very easy to read it, and you read what you think you've written.
Because it's large, people tend to break it down into bits, naturally enough. So when we suggest a structure, for example, we suggest that it doesn't have to be done this way, that they do a literature review. One might use literature in different sort of ways, but typically someone will have a separate literature review. And just as an example of the difficulties of breaking things down, I would often find a literature review and regard that as separate from the rest of the dissertation. It's like a little box, which when it's finished, it's tied up, and if not quite forgotten about, at least not opened up and used to inform all those other bits. I think one thing people often underestimate is how long it takes to make sense of the data. Because just said it's a large thing. And it just takes a lot of time to make sense of data, which sometimes shows you things you didn't expect. You think you're stuffed, you think you're maybe different. There's always a way through. It just takes time to find that. So people quite often think, the difficult bit is to get the data. Once I've got the data, I'll just present it and then line it. And they quite often are rushing at the end because they haven't left enough time for that. I was thinking about the precision of writing, which sounds like a stuffy sort of thing to say. But if one's got a large piece of stuff there and one has to try and develop a line of argument, the precision of the writing becomes even more important than it was in other things.
Do a reference list right from the beginning. Somebody the other day was actually going off on a course on how to use endnotes, so she could actually, build it from the beginning, rather than the nightmare of trying to do it at the end. So, what I've done the last few years as well is get people to write down, to work out how many words each section will actually take, so that it doesn't look so overwhelming. It looks like a series of essays rather than a series of assignments, rather than 10, 15, 20,000 words.